Being a student in mathematics today is very different than it was when we were students in the mathematics classroom. For most of us, learning mathematics was about getting right answers, memorizing facts and formulas, sometimes even speed being important. Today's math students, while they do have to find the right answers, and we do want them to know certain things like math facts, they're also expected to be able to be mathematical thinkers. Today's students have to solve problems. They have to communicate about their understanding. They need to be able to create models to show mathematics. They really need to have a depth of understanding in order to be considered proficient today in our math classrooms. If our goal is to develop mathematical thinkers, then we clearly need to teach in a different way than our teachers taught us. Most of us remember being taught in very quiet classrooms with long worksheets, doing computations over and over to be able to memorize algorithms, memorize procedures. It was about the teacher standing in the front of the room, showing us or telling us how to do math, and then the rest of the time was us spent trying to remember or retain or memorize that procedure. If our goal today is to develop mathematical thinkers and problem solvers and communicators, that is not going to work. These students need to have experiences in the classroom where they have to solve problems, where they have to think about and talk about that thinking, where they have opportunities to model and make sense of mathematics properties or procedures so that they have a really deep understanding. So today's math classrooms are not those silent classrooms we remember with each student doing their own worksheet. They're classrooms where we see students talking with partners, talking in teams, exploring problems, sharing different strategies for how to get to an answer, modeling using all kinds of materials to show and to better understand the math that they're learning. There are a few things we can do to really support our students within the math classroom as we think about ways to shift our teaching to be more aligned with what the expectations are for students, what they need to know and be able to do. I'd say the first that I think about is we need to step back and let them do the thinking. Our teachers came in and told us how to think about math, told us the quick tricks, the algorithms, the shortcuts. And today's students, if we're trying to build thinkers, we want to have them discover, we want them to look at what's happening in a particular math investigation, notice the data, and kind of put together in their mind what's happening, have aha moments where they're discovering and making sense of mathematics. So less about us telling them and more about us setting up investigations where they can discover math ideas. Another thing that can really support our students is making sure math has a context. I remember coming into classrooms and it would just be, 12 plus 15 on the board. Instead of it being a story, a situation, letting students understand what 12 plus 15 might represent or what 3 times 5 means. So today we're saying, let's set those computations in problems. Let's explore them through children's literature that shows context. Let's make sure they understand what all these numbers and symbols mean. Certainly clear pieces that support our students are modeling, having materials for them, having them act out and draw and manipulate materials to be able to show math ideas, and the talk. Can't say enough about how important it is to move away from those silent math classrooms and to have classrooms where students talk with partners, debate ideas with teams, where we ask deep questions, not what's the answer, but how did you get the answer? Why did you do it the way you did it? How does that connect to another student's way of getting that answer? And another piece that we talked about was the idea of formative assessment. The idea that we're not just covering a textbook or covering, page by page certain math skills, that we're actually stopping and watching students, listening to them, deciding what they got from a lesson and what maybe we can do the next day that will help bring understanding, build understanding. The idea of formative assessment and then adjusting our instruction for what our students need, not what the next page of a math textbook says we should do. I was excited to be able to show you Math in Practice. It's a pretty comprehensive resource, and the reason is because this is a pretty comprehensive task that teachers today are being asked to do, to change their teaching to align with new standards, new expectations for students. So there are lots of places where you can just get some of the general ideas, like in that guide for teachers we talked about, just ideas for how to ask deep questions, ideas for how to set up investigations to help students discover math. How do we get kids more effectively talking with each other about math? What would be some good formative assessment tasks so we keep a handle on what students know and what we should focus on the next day in our teaching? But what you also get with Math in Practice are those grade level books, and that's where as teachers we get to explore the content we're teaching through these different strategies. We explore the place value or the operations or the geometry or the measurement that's taught at that level with examples of lessons that use these features we're talking about, that use hands-on and discovery and talk and formative assessment. So through Math in Practice, you're going to get lots of resources to enhance what you're doing in the classroom. Lessons that are filled with math material use and deep questions. You're going to get formative assessments. You're going to get center tasks, which will give you so much more engaging ways to practice from the old worksheets that everyone remembers as very boring. It's really going to engage our students, give them a context for learning math, and give you strategies to be able to transform your math classrooms into something that's more fun for students, really focuses on depth of understanding, and really speaks to all the different kinds of learners you might have in that classroom to help them all feel confident in math, get engaged in mathematics, and have a deeper understanding.